He lost no one now. Died on the ground side. God, you strip it. Now you're done.
Alright, I know you like that shit. That was Dayz Lost. The song was called Catch One. I'm having Matt Anderson, the singer of this band, on my podcast. He was also the singer in Purgatory, and also a known badass. No, it was a great conversation. I'm glad he took the time out to let me interview him. It was a good time. He's obviously been around the scene a very long time. He's put in work with Purgatory. They just came to an end. They had their last show just a couple weeks ago. But they've been around fucking, I think 2011 is what he said. So, all good things do not last forever. Anyway, dig his new band. Check that out. Dayz Lost, like I said. Download it. Share it. Do whatever you gotta do. So let's get this band off the ground. They're really good in my opinion. Has that funky vibe to it. Is more of a, I don't know, I don't want to say hip-hop feel, but you can definitely get down to it and bob your head. So don't be a fucking slump. Get to it. Nothing really going on in my world these days. Same old shit, you know, just had Thanksgiving, had a bunch of family over, ate good. Yeah, I'm definitely thankful for all the family and friends and support that I have. Some people are not as fortunate as I or others to have people in their lives that will support them no matter what. So, I can say I'm lucky because I know some people who got fucking nothing. And to those people that got nothing, you got me. So, if you ever need anything, I'm here for you. If you ever need a place to eat on a holiday, I'm here for you. Let me know. I also started doing jiu-jitsu, which I'm gonna fucking give you an ear beating here for a second. Something I never thought I'd start doing. You know, I lift weights here and there, kinda never really stayed consistent over the years, but I decided to give something else a try, something to stay active, learn something new, and put myself out there. It might sound weird. If you are not familiar with jiu-jitsu, you may only know the term from like UFC fights, or you hear about Royce Gracie in the 90s winning all the UFC fights. That's the stuff I'm learning. It's ground fighting, but you start standing up, learning takedowns and shit like that. It's actually very interesting and fun to learn. You can get hurt. You can get slammed on the ground. You can fucking break your bones in your body if you don't land correctly. And my big ass hitting the ground ain't pretty, but it's fun, that's for sure. Once you start learning moves and techniques and applying them to your training partners, it's a lot of fun. And so I'm going to promote it and tell you that you can come try it at the school I go to. It's a Royce Gracie Academy of Michigan in Southgate, downriver. You can try a free class if you'd like. See if you like it or not, but the more people who join the class, the better, because we all learn and grow together. And it's not a huge class, but my instructors, there's a couple black belts, and they have been practicing jiu-jitsu and MMA since the mid-90s when it really became popular. they have learned directly under Hoist Gracie and that family lineage and have traveled all over the country with them. So there's definitely a lot of knowledge involved with these guys, and I appreciate it. And maybe you would too. If you want to learn something new, if you want to feel like a kid again, like wrestling with your friends. It sounds weird. A lot of people are like, oh, that sounds gay. You're wrestling with men. It's actually pretty fun. Some of us get boners. How do you think about that, huh? No. Rant over. It's not hardcore. But try jujitsu. If you think you're a tough guy, you'll learn pretty quick that you're fucking not. So support your hardcore scene. Support your friends. Share this podcast. Follow Dayz Lost. And listen to this shit over and over again and learn it. Because I hope this band comes around a lot. I hope they get out there and do a lot of shows. That's probably the plan. So let's support them. Get them off the ground. Let's go, motherfucker. We're recording in progress. You good?
Yep, good.
Good, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I figured, we've talked about it before in the past, back when I first started, but with Purgatory coming to an end and your new project, Dayz Lost, kind of like in its infancy, even though you started back in like June or so, you dropped that shit. Just for why not? I mean, you said when we doing an episode, I said I'm starting to get the shit going now, so let's do one. It's right. It's at the right time. I took like a month or two off, just fucking life in general. You understand, I'm sure.
Sure, for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. So
yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Purgatory, you guys are pretty known in the hardcore scene, all around the fucking world for the most part. You've been to Europe, traveled the United States. You've done plenty of work with Purgatory. So I mean, you deserve to be on a podcast. I know you did a Wasted Radio before, right? With Matt.
Yeah. I've done Wasted Radio. Yeah, I've done a handful of them. Not like the Zoom ones, but yeah, it's mainly just emails or fucking zines or all that kind of
stuff. Yeah, like I'm printed or written fucking interviews and shit.
Yeah.
Now you don't got time to think. You're on the spot. No. So I mean, we can just roll with it how I normally do them. You guys are from a Northwest Indiana scene. So did you grow up in Indiana, or how did you get into hardcore and all that shit? Like about what age? What were you doing when you found it?
So I'm from South Dakota originally. That's where I grew up. I lived there for 21 years of my life. I'm 36. So I got into hardcore there. I was probably 16, 17, something like that. I was still in high school. I had like been into heavier stuff since I was like a little kid. My dad, listened to a lot of classic rock and metal and stuff like that. So we'd listen to stuff around him, and he'd find like the alternative bands and stuff like that and kind of just show me stuff when I was little, and I mean, whatever I caught on to. A lot of it was the normal stuff that we were into when we were kids, like Korn and fucking Marilyn Manson and all that stuff,
Oh, yeah.
But I got into hardcore through the Misfits, actually, and through Deicide.
Okay.
So yeah, I got into like a little bit of the punk stuff, and then like right off the bat, like 5th grade, just straight into death metal, like stuff that you probably should not be listening to at that age at all. But I had some friends when I was younger whose older brothers would just show us like the craziest stuff, so I was really into like gangster rap when I was a kid, and like just a lot of like very aggressive stuff. I listened to the mainstream stuff and all that, but yeah, just like kind of knowing those bands and then reading the CD booklets and stuff like that, and like if I thought a band was cool and they listed another band, I was like, well, they must be cool too, So we go to my dad would take us to the CD store. I kind of flipped through some of these names. If I saw a record cover that I thought was cool, he'd kind of give it a once over and let me know if I could get it or not, Yeah, it's a lot of the traditional stuff that you get into when you're younger. Like I got into Hatebreed at a young age, and then
hell yeah, me too.
So yeah. So a lot of the standard bands that everybody gets into, nothing too crazy, and then all the like generic mainstream stuff that you listen to if you're like into punk or rock or metal or any of that shit at all.
Hey, fuck it. Yeah, man. It's like you got to start somewhere. You know, everyone's a poser at one point.
Yeah. The people that act like they were listening to like the best hardcore right from the womb, I'm like, you're full of shit. That's not fucking.
Yeah, it's not how it works. Like they were born with a satisfaction as the death of desire in their hand. Like, relax.
No, I got a 3-month-old now, and like when we're in the car, I'm not listening to hardcore. Like, so you know, it'll be a little while. Like, she will at some point. It's natural, but right now, like, I'm not just blasting like metal on hardcore in her face, having that like shape her youth, because she's gonna grow up to be dumb as shit if I do that. I'll have like no sensory or like motor skills or anything if I'm just like shoving this stuff in her face because I want to have like a cool kid, you know, like.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm fucking up. I got an 8-year-old and 8-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son, but my son likes like D Block and all that shit. But my daughter, like, whenever I put on D Block, she'll hear that a 10999 song, and with the dogs barking and the sirens and shit. And she's like, "Oh, I like this one. I like the dogs and the siren." I'm like, "Well, don't listen to the lyrics."
Like, you know, once they get into that age, though, it's like you can start perceiving things in your own way. Like you're enjoying things because you want to enjoy them because you understand it at that point. Like it makes sense in your head what you're listening to, you know. But like, I don't know. I see a lot of parents that like they're not having their kids listen to the traditional like baby stuff they should be listening to, where they need to learn basic functions, you know.
Most definitely.
And weird to me. I'm not saying you can't listen to stuff around your kid, but it like you got to teach them stuff, you know. Like,
most definitely, man. Yeah. I mean, my daughter's such like a pretty girl. She's all like prim and proper, doing her hair and shit. And but she listens to like the pop music and stuff like that. But whenever I'll just have on whatever fucking Spotify in the garage, or she hears it, she's familiar with what I listen to. She's like,
sure.
Can we put on Ariana Grande? I'm like, no.
Right.
But that's fun, man. Having a kid is fucking interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is your first kid, 3-month-old?
Yep.
Yeah.
First one.
You all good and healthy now? I know you were, having some pneumonia issues and shit like that. You all good?
She made a full recovery, and like she was born a little premature. Nothing like no major complications or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but she's caught back up like tenfold. You know, she's gained a ridiculous amount of weight, growing like a weed. How she is now compared to how she was born, it's like, it's crazy, man. It's a trip. It's a trip.
Yeah. You giving her that protein powder and her shit.
Yeah.
You get her bulky.
You know, maybe a little test or something.
Good, man. But that's good to hear, because I know you said like, it was like, it's fucking scary shit when you got an infant. You're like, yo, this thing is like so fragile that everything has to go right, or you don't know what to do. You got to trust these doctors and shit. It's fucking scary, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just it's a whole different ballpark. Like, use my world. So the second that anything is wrong at all, and I can tell anything is off, it's just like everything else around you stops. You know?
You're like, am I doing this right? I don't fucking know. Like, who do you ask? You have parents and shit like that, but you're like, did they do it right? Who fucking knows? It's really, I mean, I was pretty paranoid of my kids for the longest time, but they adapt and overcome just like we do. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they become a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Oh,
tenfold. Yeah. So where we at? Got so how you found hardcore? You said South Dakota or North Dakota?
South Dakota, yeah.
South Dakota.
Falls, okay.
Yeah. So how is the scene there? Obviously there is one, but is it as big as Northwest Indiana or a Chicago area, or is it comparable in any way?
I back in the day, honestly, it was, because we when I was younger, when I was in high school and a little bit after, Nose of Ranvier was like the biggest band from there, and they toured with Terror and all those bands. So like we had all the major hardcore packages would come through there. I saw Martyr AD there. I saw Dayz today. Seen the Acacia Strain, Bury Your Dead, like, and then like Omaha, Nebraska is only like 3 hours, so 2.5, 3 hours away. So a lot of the other tours we could just drive there. We were kind of in like a perfect like hot spot because Minneapolis is 4 hours away, Des Moines 4 hours away, Omaha 2.5, 3 hours. So like it was good, but yeah, I mean back in the day, all the packages came through there. There would be 250, 300 kids at a show.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was like it was a mix though, because like the screamo scene there is like huge. That's like the big thing in Sioux Falls. It used to be, anyways. A lot of the dudes in Sioux Falls, like I don't really keep in touch with them anymore. I got some old friends that'll always be my friends, but the shift was like, some of the guys were like into screamo, and then they were super into hardcore, and then they kind of like dropped all of it and became like these like folk musicians, and like, I mean, some of the guys were like bell bottoms and shit now, like do your thing, it's like, whatever. Like it's at one point you were like a camo shorts, like straight edge guy. So it was weird. The shift was weird. It's like everybody just kind of dropped off at the same time. I haven't been to a show in Sioux Falls in long time, many years, not aside from like I'll go back and visit for the holidays, and if there's an actual like concert. I think the last one I went to was when Behemoth and Lamb of God came through there.
Okay.
Saw that. There's a band called Anger Rot, I think is what they're called. I grew up with some of those guys kind of too, and they opened that show, so it was like cool seeing them play. There's like a metal band.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, dude, there was like a popping, thriving hardcore scene in that whole area of the Midwest. People would be traveling back and forth and stuff. And like through the Nodes guys, I hung out with the Nodes guys when I was super young. So they would go to Minneapolis or they go to Des Moines or whatever. And I got in with like the Two Period Eye guys through them and like some of those kinds of bands, like how their relationship formed, but I became pretty good friends with those guys. And like, I mean, I got super into like Tyrant and
There you go.
Yeah, all that, and like Shattered Realm and Two Period Eye, all that stuff, way heavier than really anybody else, that I hung out with back then. A couple other kids, but that I fell in love with like all the like harder shit and like the tough guy stuff,
Angry, yeah. Yeah, hey, I'm the same way, man. Like I started listening like when I started finding like underground or alternative music, it was through like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. So it was like punk, and then it progressed into like screamo, and then I heard something else, and it all kind of then I heard like it's either like Death Threat or Hatebreed, like we said, and then I was like, I like this heavier shit. People yelling about some shit that I can relate to more than like fucking a Unity's cool and shit, but I like that tough guy shit.
Aggressive side. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. Like the youth of today is good, and I appreciate them for what they are and how positive and all that shit. But I'd rather listen to some ugly, mean shit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about youth of today. So
100%. Like I said, I can appreciate what they've done and how it has evolved. Everything stems from that era in a way, but
yeah, like I'll pay my respects to them for sure. Not my thing. Never been my thing.
I don't give a shit about youth of today.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. When they dropped off that they were supposed to play that Winter Jam last year or whatever. And they dropped off. I was like, don't care. I can get out of there earlier. Like Wisdom and Shade stepped up. I was like, much better.
Was that the year Shelter played one of those years? It's the same thing. I was like, people are like, oh man, Shelter's playing. And I was like, I'm going to go grab a bite to eat. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like I said, those guys, I respect what they did. They definitely have their pivotal part of the hardcore scene. I just never got into it. For like that side of it, like Floor Punch, you know, and some of that shit was like the only stuff that I got into. Like I still Floor Punch, but there's also a side of Floor Punch where it's like these guys are like a little like harder. They're a little more like the other bands in that side.
Yeah, for sure. You can even say that about like 10-yard fight and shit like that, which you can it's just more in the lyrics, I suppose, than the sound. But it's fucking good shit. What else we got to talk about? I mean, I write down this list. Like, I'm not good at keeping the flow. I'm like, what do I got for us to talk about? I'm
like, yeah, like I said, the first like my first like face-to-face interaction with music where I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? My dad, we were out in public somewhere. I don't remember. There's an old like outdoor band shelter in Sioux Falls. And like I was recording, and I had a mohawk when I was real young and shit. And we could hear like music playing. And my dad was like, you want to go see what it is? I'm young. I'm talking like maybe around 5th grade or something like that. And I was like, yeah, let's go. So we go, and there's this punk band called Resin playing. And I mean, dude, they're awful. Like one of the shittiest things I've ever heard in my whole entire life. But there's all these dudes in like leather jackets, fucking mohawks. The band's like freaking out on stage. Like they have like antics and stuff like that, you know? And I mean, I was like, this is crazy. Like, what is this? So my dad took me up to like meet the band. And like, I actually ended up becoming like acquainted with some of them much later in life, which is weird on a whim. And they handed out like these stickers that just said Resin, and underneath it said eat shit. And they were like, put these everywhere, put them all over your school, like put them on any telephone pole that you see. Like this is what you do, you know? So I was like looking at my dad, like, you know, there's curse words on it. Can I? And he was just like, you can put one on your bike, you know, like you're on the halls of your school. And but that was my first introduction in person to stuff like that. So that was around the time, like I said, that like I was like listening to like these different types of music, and then like not getting it, but like being into it. And then I saw it in person, and I was just like, all right, I want more. I want to know what this is all about. But I didn't start going to shows anytime soon after that. I was a kid, you know, and like my dad's, he ain't gonna know how to find that kind of stuff. So it wasn't until high school that I like the kids that I was friends with in school. Some of them had bands, and I started going to their shows, and that's like where it stemmed from there. And then, yeah, I mean, like I said, I lived in Sioux Falls for a long time, but you know, I grew too much for that city. The stuff that I was into, they were not like. I went and saw the big change when I realized like I can't live here anymore. And as soon as I am able to move away, I'm going to. In Minneapolis, we went and saw, it was Shattered Realm. This was 2004. I was still in high school. It was Shattered to Die. This like kind of joke band called Devastator X.
Okay.
And then it was basically in like a garage. And this, I know Chris was singing for Shattered Realm. I know that much. But I was like tiny. Like I'm like 130 pounds, maybe. And like I'm watching Too Pretty to Die. I kind of knew the guys. And it's like, it's going crazy in there. That's when like Courage Crew was still like super heavy in Minneapolis at that time. Shattered Realm had like FSU dudes with them. And like everyone's like going buck wild, you know. And I'm like, I'm into it, but I'm also like, I'm from out of town, like, you know.
Watch your P's and Q's, yeah.
And then like, Shattered Realm gets ready to play. Somebody hits the lights, and it's like dun dun dun, and I'm just like, bam, bam, bam. Like I got hit in the face like 9 times before somebody flipped the lights back on, and it was just like carnage in there. It was terrifying in like the best way. So after that, I was like, I can't go to shows in Sioux Falls anymore because they'll crucify you for acting like this. It's just not. It does not fly there. You know, like me and my couple friends that were into it, like we would mosh and we'd mosh hard, and people are just like, you know, the show would they either shut the show down or like everybody was out for blood. They did not want you to come around anymore. So I was traveling to either Des Moines or Minneapolis because it's the only way that I could like see the shit that I wanted to see and act the way that I wanted to act. So
Yeah, it's a good, yeah, man. Yeah, that's cool that like that experience for the first time, like seeing like the crazy shit with like Shattered Realm and Too Pure to Die. I can also relate. Like, I mean, it's not that heavy, but the first like heavy band I seen with like fucking breakdowns was Bleeding Through. They played at this place called the Shelter in Detroit, and this is back in 2004, April of 2004. I didn't know who Shattered Realm or any of those bands were. Like, I didn't know what the fuck hardcore was. I went to see this band, Himsa. They played on the show, and I've seen. I knew who Bleeding Through was. I knew like one song, but like I didn't know how crazy like hardcore like the moshing was. Like as somebody said the other day, the first time they seen the people putting in fucking mouth guards and shit like that, like tying up their shoelaces, they're like, "What the fuck is about to happen?" Like, it's about to get ugly. I was like 17, a young 17-year-old, and I was like, "What in the fuck is going on?" And I remember somebody had said that the show was it was booked over capacity. I think it was like a 250 person's room, but they said there was at least like 350 people in there. It's like so it's hot and just unbelievably unbearable. And but like just to see like the chaos of people swinging their arms and crowd killing and shit, it was something about it. Like I was like, that's scary, but I'm totally attracted to it. Like this is fucking what I. It was like a nail in the coffin for like hardcore shows. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, no doubt.
It's like this is where it is. I didn't mind getting hit in the face or fucking pushed around or kicked in my back. Just don't hit this mug. We're good. But it happens. It happens.
Yeah. That's dude. Those shows are those shows. Bleeding Through did like multiple tours, like back to back to back around that time. Because I saw them. I didn't see them with Himsa, but I saw them around that time.
Mhm.
You remember that band Sinai Beach?
Yeah, hell yeah, for sure. I remember them.
So they were on the same label. They were on Face Sound with Nodes, right?
Okay.
So we went down to Omaha to see Sinai Beach, and Bleeding Through was playing. And again, this was 2004, I think. I didn't know who they were, and like that's when Brandon still had like a mohawk and everything, you know, like do like somersaults on stage and just and Bleeding Through was playing, and Clint it's the bass player for Too Pure to Die.
Okay.
Or they were living in Des Moines at that time. It's only about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive. So like I know there was Des Moines dudes at this show before I knew that. Like I wasn't friends with them, but I knew them from Too Pure to Die. Clint, bass player, used to like wreck people, but I was standing like back of the pit, watching him just murdering people during Bleeding Through, and that helped like attracted me to like that band, you know, because I was like, people are fucking going crazy for this band, and like they're pretty cool, you know. And then I saw them shortly after that on the Martyr AD, Walls of Jericho, It Dies Today tour. That came through Sioux Falls. And I was like, yo, I know who that Bleeding Through band is. I just saw him, you know? I was like, this shit's going to be crazy. And it was fucking, that show was like, there was people, all the people that were going off super hard traveled from like Iowa or Minnesota. So it was like, I mean, some of those shows were like, if you're going to pit, like you have to do it. You have to mosh hard or like you're going to get smoked about it. So anybody that would kind of like try and like take a ticket and wait for their number to like hop in there and like mosh real quick, you know, and then like hop out. The second that those kids would hop in, it's just like, bam, on the ground, done, out. And it's like those kinds of things. I was just like, okay, like this isn't like a spectator sport where you got to like pick and choose your time. If you're going to do it, you just have to do it. And you better fucking do it harder than everybody else, or you're gonna get your shit rocked, and it's gonna be a really bad time for you.
Yeah, totally agree, man. Like you said, seeing Tyrant and all that shit, having to fucking, to spend every show with those guys around, it was hard enough, especially because they were always on the low or whatever show was coming through, like they were always like one of the couple opening bands is
Yeah,
either Tyrant or this other band, Let It Die. I don't know if
yeah,
you're familiar with them.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and like those shows were always just absolutely fucking bonkers. But the cool thing is those guys like the Courage Crew guys, they would all do security at the venues and shit. So it can get pretty out of hand before they'd have to, you know, which they never really step in unless like there's like a brawl.
yeah,
But
right, yeah,
but I think we were fortunate enough, but also fuck, dude, it was dangerous. But like they'd like be throwing like bar stools and chairs. They'd fucking knock out the fluorescent lights, and it was just chaos sometimes. But like it's hard to. It's not hard to go to shows and like and you think like and some people mosh hard as fuck still, but I was like, it just doesn't hit the same. Maybe because that's like in the glory days or whatnot, or that was like
yeah.
my first experiences, first couple years was just like fucking straight brutal chaos. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but like people they still go hard, but it's just not the same.
It's a little different now. It's yeah, it's a little bit more of like a show now. Like people want to be recognized for moshing, and it's kind of corny. It's weird. Um, I can't imagine though what it was like growing up in the area that you did when Tyrant was still playing shows. That band, like for me coming up, was they were a huge influence on the things that I was doing musically. There's two Detroit bands. One of them has always played an influence on any band I've ever done. Cold as Life.
Oh, let's go this way. There we go.
Any band I've ever done, ever, even when I was a kid. And then band I was in high school, we were called Bench Press, but it's not the Bench Press that became popular. It's a different Bench Press. We were only like kind of like, I don't want to say like local legends because that sounds stupid, but we kind of had like a thing for shows kind of getting overly aggressive in our area, that was like the whole thing. Like back then it was like, us wearing like hockey masks at shows, like while we were playing, and just like the whole intention was just to be as ignorant as possible. And like, that's because I was going and seeing and listening to like Tyrant and Two Period Die and The Alliance and, bands like that. Like, yeah, man, that part of hardcore was fun, dude. Like the, the,
I
the first times I saw Two Period Die, one of the first times it was at Nehemiah's last show in Minnesota. It was a sold out show. Two Period Die had been banned from playing at for a long time. They were finally allowed to come back. And me and some of the Nodes dudes drove out, and one of the singers for Two Pier, Brett, he meets us at the back door, and this motherfucker's wearing a cutoff jean vest, a cowboy hat. He's got boots on with spurs, and I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? And then they played, and it was like people were just being tortured. It was insane. Like, it took 4 seconds for somebody to have their whole front grill came through the bottom of their lip. It was a wild fucking time, But I was like, I love this stuff. Like, this shit is crazy, and like I'm still in love with it. When there's a band that comes out now where I'm just like, I need more of this. Like, I mean, that's what Missing Link does for me.
I
Like,
was about to say that if you weren't gonna, man. I had a feeling that was coming.
yeah, like, I mean, when they play, like, yeah, they're my friends and shit, but like, I don't know, I love that band. They make me feel crazy, and like 95% of the time when they're playing, I just want to attack anybody that's within a 50-foot radius of me.
I understand, man. Yeah, when they came through in fucking Detroit last year, because I booked the Shattered Realms. I think you came.
I was there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because it was like one of like maybe like fourth or fifth shows like back after all the COVID shit is what it seemed like anyway. And it was like, and Camden was like, "Hey, you should check out fucking Missing Link. They're my boys." And I listened to him. I was like, "Oh, most definitely they need to come through." And it was on a Sunday night, so I didn't expect a good turnout or anything. But it was great to see them fucking live. It was way different than from what I heard. On on whatever my phone or fucking earbuds. It's like, God, they're so fucking brutal live. I was like, this is absolutely insane. And I shout them out, tell them go listen to Joe Hardcore's podcast because Mike just did the podcast. He put it out the other day.
Yeah.
So listen to that. Anybody who fucking cares, but they're good band, Heavy, and they just had a new song come out. I do know if I didn't get through all the podcasts, but do you know if they're gonna maybe put out an LP or anything or a full length anytime soon?
I don't know about an LP, but they do have the EP coming out through Richie's new label, Never Ran, Never Will.
Fuck yeah.
That's coming out soon, and like I've heard it, and like it's good. Everybody's gonna enjoy it. Them and D Block, man. Both bands have put out music and continue to put out music where I'm like everybody needs to listen to these bands.
Yeah, man. After it's like hardcore has always been a thing, and there's always been different bands, but it just seems like it's like somehow we've entered into another era. It's like a post-COVID era where everybody is going balls to the wall with either new shit or starting up old bands again, and people are going to shows, and everything just seems to be going better than ever right now, at least in my opinion and experience the past a year or so.
Yeah, no doubt.
So fucking where were we? Oh yeah, speaking of a Two Pure to Die and Tyrant and all that shit, was that some of your like influence on like your straight edge, or was that already established in your mind? What was your was it positive or negative influences in your life that you made that decision?
So I don't know. When I was young, like 5th, 6th grade, I dabbled in some things. I was a troublemaker when I was pretty young, and like I tried some stuff out, and I wasn't ever like, oh, this was cool, I want to keep doing this, I tried some things, did some things. I cry if she listens to this, so I'm not going to say things, but I did stuff, and none of it was like, I want more of this. So I was like, I don't need that. I don't need all that. And then I did when I was browsing in a fucking Barnes and Noble one day, of all things, and there's a book called All Ages: Reflections on Straight Edge. And it was by like all the like punk books and hardcore books and shit like that. So I was kind of reading it, and I was just like, yeah, this stuff's cool, And then like Judge was probably like the biggest influence on me becoming straight edge. Their songs and like the shit that Mike was singing about and just like their attitude about it was like, I dig this. Like, this is what I'm into. But then Two Pure and Tyrant, like their like front lines aggressiveness about it, and like them like being hard about it and being tough about it and stuff like that, like I'm naturally attracted to that kind of stuff. If something has like an edge to it, or I'm just like, that shit's hard or that shit's tough, I'm gonna like it. So their representation of it was just like, yeah, like they make it cool to be straight edge, in a non-dorky way, even though some people would probably say that's contrary to popular belief because of their stance on it. And granted, like, except for John, none of the dudes in Tyrant are straight edge anymore. At least I don't think so. Like, just their stance on it, their pride behind it, and like their backing of it was like, I want to feel that way about it. Like, I'm into it like these guys are.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, well, 100% respect to that shit, man. Like, I'm not straight edge, but I've always like give a thumbs up and a fucking pat on the back to the people who were and still are after all the years.
Right.
And like I don't have anything against anybody who's not anymore, but when it's somebody who was once, if a diehard militant fucking straight edge and now they're not, I laugh at them. I'm like, look at you.
Yeah, I get it, man. I know. Yeah, I know a few. I know plenty of people that have broke edge, and I'm just like, but I highly encourage everybody to break edge. So
Oh, do you?
yeah, the
Why?
more the more people that break edge, the stronger I get. So
Okay.
like I don't if you even think about it or like you want to do it or it's a thought that's crossed your mind, I'm not going to talk you out of it. Do it, and I'll probably thank you for it. So I'm kind of in that regard. Like, I don't believe in like united we stand. I'm like, hey man, you don't want to be strangers anymore? Good for you. Do it. You should break edge. I fully support you breaking edge. So, and a lot of people are like, well, damn, dude, like that's fucked up. Like, you should have his back and you should talk him out of it and stuff. I'm like, no, that's a grown ass person. I'm not gonna talk anybody out of doing anything unless it's like heroin or something. But like that's the other thing. If you're gonna break edge, you should go hard or go home.
Just kill yourself. Fuck you. Well, that's a way to look at it, though. A lot of people. I mean, I know a lot of people, obviously, over the years who have broke edge, eh, but the saying, if you're not now, you never were. Are you 100% in agreeing with that? Like, if you're not now, you never were. Or you think there's a time and a place for somebody to claim edge while and then they don't? Like, is it cool?
It's I know like I know some dudes that were like in the military that have really bad PTSD and stuff like that, and like all the therapy and all the medication and stuff in the world doesn't help. And a couple of them have, they've just turned to smoking weed or like microdosing mushrooms or whatever. And it gives them some stability. So like I I can understand that. And like I'm happy that they found some sort of relief. Obviously, I wish that to a degree that there could have been another way. But I mean, if you just want to go willy-nilly and break edge, like then I don't believe you were ever straight edge.
Yeah, you're just a fucking trendy piece of shit. No, yeah, but then again, when you think of like weed or mushrooms, is that sometimes that's more safer than the pharmaceutical route for some people. You
I,
know,
and I yeah, I do agree. But I think that with any substance at all, it doesn't matter what it is, you should use it for its intended purposes. Like if you abuse anything, it doesn't matter what it is, even if fucking ibuprofen, like you're doing more damage than you are helping. And that's just it at the end of the day. So like if you don't want to use pharmaceuticals and like you would rather smoke weed, okay, like I'm gonna believe you. And if you're you can't sleep at night or something, and you need to and you don't want to do this or do that, whatever, I don't know. If you're smoking weed to take care of your demons or take care of your problems and that's it, so you're using it for like a medicinal purpose, I get it, cool. But if it's just a cop out for you to break edge because you want to smoke weed, so you just turn into a dude that just smokes weed all the time, I mean, you're just a fucking liar at the end of the day. So like that's just all it is. You should have just said you don't want to be straight edge anymore.
yeah, no cop outs. Be honest.
It's that if there's that, and then people that are like, they got injuries or they got this or they got that. So like I said, like if smoking weed helps, like okay, cool. But when you start drinking and doing other shit on top of it, I'm like,
I
you
see
just
you.
edge anymore. That's all that it was. And I think you're a fucking nerd for not just saying like, I don't want to be straight edge anymore. Because I'd have been like, cool, I don't care.
Back at it. All right, we're talking about fucking sellouts. No. No, but yeah, and I'm glad you're totally honest about it too, because a lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's fine with my friends breaking straight edge and shit like that," but inside they're like they're upset or hold like some sort of resentment with, in which is understandable if you're as serious as you say you were for the past however many years, and then you feel connected to so many other people because you shared that that bond and drug-free lifestyle and whatnot. Then it's kind of like you're leaving. It's like you're leaving, like you're disconnecting from this thing we have, and that's probably hurtful in a way,
Yeah,
right? Is it, or just am I just assuming that? Because I don't know how it would feel.
that's so like that's how I got into working out. Honestly, like when I still lived in Sioux Falls, once all my friends turned 21 and they could all start legally drinking and stuff, um, dude, like everybody just broke edge at the same time. So the house that I was living at was across the street from a college campus, and like after shows or whatever, almost every night there would be a party at the house. I get home from whatever I was doing, walk inside, everybody would be fucked up. It'd be annoying. So I started sneaking into the gym across the street at the campus. And like, I'd work out for hours. And then I'd come back, everybody'd still be at my house, still getting fucked up. So I'd turn around and I'd go back, and that's part of the reason why I got into working out, aside from like, not wanting to be small anymore. I dabble in exercising. It's more into like being like physically fit. But that was a big like driving force, because I was just over it. Like, all the dudes that all of us were straight edge at the same time in straight edge bands together and stuff like that, they all broke at the same time, basically. And I was like, you guys are fucking lame. Like this shit sucks, And then like, yeah, dude, they all got into like shitty stuff at the same time, like just terrible hobbies, terrible. Their music taste changed. They got into really shitty music, and like their hobbies and interests. I was like, this is fucking stupid, So yeah, I mean, me and another dude, the only dude that like stayed edge for a long time, but he's not anymore. We just we just go to the gym and just work out. So that became my thing.
Shit, good enough, man. Yeah, is if everybody around you sort of fell off and that's all you got to do at the time, but why not? You're like bettering yourself, like you said. If that made you stronger, because you got to be around these fucking idiots, who are all drinking or whatever. But you're like, I don't want to be around this. I'm gonna go to the gym. So in your first point, you said, you break edge. I'll be stronger. Like,
Yeah,
you experienced it, so
yeah,
you live by it. That just makes sense that it's all connected that way. Fuck. Yeah, hey man, props to you. If everybody else who's fucking straight edge, like I have lots of friends who are edge, and nothing but respect. I'm sorry, I smell like weed.
yeah. And like I know that, like, especially around where I live, I've always been in the minority. Like there are more people that aren't straight edge than are. So it's like it is a thing that's for me, which is that's another pet peeve when somebody breaks edge and they gotta like point out like, dude, I'm sorry, man. Like I'm a piece of shit. Blah 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 blah. Like, it's just straight edgeism for me. And I'd be like, yep, you're absolutely right. Everything you said is true. And they'd be like, well, damn, dude, like you don't got to be like that. And I'd be like, the fuck you want me to say? Like, I don't give a shit that you broke edge. Like, don't you obviously feel bad about it, which is why you're apologizing to me about it. So live with your own fucking demons, dork. Like, I don't fuck.
Yeah. That is strange though. Like it's like they made their choice and now they're like, "Hey, I'm sorry, man. We had this thing in common, but now we don't. Will you forgive me?" I'm like, "Do whatever you want." You know.
Yeah,
Fuck them. But let's get back onto the music. Let's talk about fucking Dayz Lost, because I know you dropped the demo back in like June or so, but I listened to it then, like the past fucking maybe 2 months or so, because I knew Purgatory is coming to an end and all that stuff. I've been listening to it. Then you dropped it 2 songs. I'm like, just keeps getting better, like I'm fucking totally in 100%. I love the shit that you guys been putting it out. And it's obviously different than Purgatory. In my opinion, I like it a lot. I love the heavy shit that you were doing before, but this has more of like a vibe to it, and you can, more bouncy. You can feel it a lot more, and
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. What is your how do you shift your focus from Purgatory to Dayz Lost, and what do you have like plans for the band? Are you trying to, what are you trying to do with the band?
It's dude, it's weird, man. Like, obviously, like getting away from Purgatory, it'll be hard. That was almost 12 years of my life. Like, so even though it's like been put to rest, like there are still unfulfilled things with that band. So it's still it's gonna linger for a long time. But the inception of Dayz Lost is it's funny. Like, it's pretty interesting. Funny in in a cool way. The day that Purgatory broke up, back in, I think it was March, we were ready to go on the European tour. Guitar player said that he couldn't go. So that it put us in a bind, and it's like, I'm not dogging on the dude. He's my boy. I love the dude to death, but it's not the first time that's happened. So scrambling to find a fill-in again and all this shit. I basically told him, I was like, I'm done, dude. I don't want to do the band anymore. Tired of this happening. We're gonna do the European tour. We're gonna fulfill any shows that we already have booked, and then we're gonna book 2 last shows, and that's it. And I was just right there on the spot. I was like, I'm done. So we broke up that day. That night we had Purgatory practice. I walked in. It's just me, Brian, our other guitar player, and Colin, who's the drummer. We practice at Colin's studio, 19 Stars Recording. Look him up. I walked in, we're getting ready, and they're like, yo, what's up? And I said, Purgatory's not a band anymore. And they were like, oh, fuck, So, what happened? So I told them everything that happened. We sat there for a second, and we were like, shit, And I was like, but it's like, let's just start another band right now. So basically that day, we started just brainstorming ideas of a different direction. Came up with a few ideas, and we just started writing that night on the spot. And then we recruited our dude Justin, who's the other guitar player, and our buddy Jake, who plays bass. And we pumped that demo out pretty quick after we got back from Europe. We started a little bit before. While we were in Europe, we were slightly talking about Dayz Lost stuff, getting stuff lined up, hashing on ideas. Me and Brian worked on some stuff on the road. And then we came back, and it was just we just got right to it. We just started practicing and writing, and we put that demo out. And yeah, I think it was June.
Yeah, it's fucking. I mean, it's fire, man. You guys seem to be getting on some really good shows and getting the band out there. Seems like it's starting fresh. You have some connections here and there, but I'm sure you still have to grow the audience the same way, right? It's not.
Yeah. So basically, I'm not really using any old connections or hookups to get on anything. We'll hit up friends and be like, hey, if you got anything coming up and you want a band, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's not. It was the same thing with Purgatory. There's no favors. Whatever we played just because somebody wanted us to come and play. And that was the big thing about the last show. Just to touch base for a second, I didn't want to stack the bill with a bunch of huge bands just for the sake of stacking the bill. We just asked a few of our friends' bands to play, bands that we fuck with and that fuck with us, sold the show out, had the time of our lives. I'm not trying to do things that I personally don't find genuine. It's okay if you want to put a show on with a bunch of badass fans. I'm going to come to the show and I'm going to have a fucking great time. But I didn't want to do that for our last show. And it's the same thing with Dayz Lost. I don't want to hit people up and be like, oh, hey, you owe me a favor. Let's do this. We kind of chill, play music. I mean, the word's out there that we want to play shows. So if somebody wants us to come and play, whether you fucked with Purgatory or you fuck with us as people or you fuck with the music, whatever, they had been hitting us up and asking us if we want to come through or whatever. We're not trying to tour or anything like that. Not anything outside of like maybe a weekender here and there. We're like playing some fests and stuff like that. We're busy. We got growing ass jobs. Like some of us got families and stuff like that. But yeah, man, it is interesting and tough kind of rebuilding from scratch because like I'm not leveraging anything to get us on anything. We're just doing it. We're just putting music out. And if you fuck with us and you want us to come and play, like, right on.
Yeah, man, I'll say it again though, dude. Like it's ridiculous. And for anybody who hasn't fucking checked it out now, you're really missing out. And you got to go to Spotify or YouTube or whatever the fuck and check it out because it's hard to say. Like there's a difference. I don't know if it's a quality or whatnot between the demo and the 2-song thing you just put out last month or whenever. But are you happy or are you like evolving the sound from what you did first compared to the 2 songs you just put out? And are you happy with that or are you still trying to find a sound that you're not sure about?
I guess like so we have a direction that we're trying to go and we're still trying to just like build off of, I guess, never stop progressing, and I hate constantly going back and referencing Purgatory, but we did the same thing with that band, always building off of what we did before. And like, we've got a pretty good, solid general stance and sound for what we want to do with Dayz. And now we're just like kind of figuring out what we can sprinkle in there and like, what different dynamics we can do. But we've definitely honed in on a sound. Now we're just going to try and like perfect it. And, we're constantly hashing out ideas and like, it hasn't been easy. It has been a little bit of a tough transition. Not just writing like 2.5-minute songs that are only meant to just like kick you in the face the whole time.
Right.
Dayz Lost is still, the band is ridiculously hard. Like there's a ton of vibe to it. Like you said, there's a ton of groove to it. The lyrics are still hard. They're still personal. We've got like the dirty Northwest Indiana sound that we sprinkle in there. And like, we play our style of breakdowns and stuff like that. So like, we're taking like a little bit of like a classic hardcore sound with like, TUI, even like Queensway a little bit, Crown of Thorns, like Stout, bands that have like a lot of like groove and vibe to it
for sure. Now would you
and then adding art.
What I was gonna say is like, do you, and for some reason I get like a Death Threat sound in there too. Would you say any influence come from like Death Threat? Because I hear like early, like a Last Days, honestly, like is that what it is? Yeah. That's their first album, Last Days. I don't know. Somehow it's a little more crunchier, you more breakdown, a little heavier, obviously, and you yell more. But that's just, it's comparable in my ears anyway. Are you there?
Right.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to pick a little bit here.
We're kind of breaking up.
Damn it, we're frozen right now. You can still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Damn it.
All good. Fucking internet.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what.
Fucking
I don't
internet.
know what the fuck just happened.
That's the risk we run of talking, a couple 100 miles away and dealing with this bullshit. Fucking internet. Are you good? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know why it's cutting out now. I can see you now. Yeah.
Okay. We good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. We're just talking about the sound and how, I hear a little bit of Death Threat in there. Maybe it's just me, but, it just has the older vibe is what you said, earlier hardcore, which is maybe what I'm pointing at. But I love Death Threat, but fucking Dayz Lost is fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Death Threat is like definitely an influence as well. We were gonna cover Death Threat at a show, but for some before we had like enough songs, but decided not to because there's just not enough kids around here that know Death Threat songs.
Ah,
I know that for a fact because when they played the Rumble a few years ago, they had a big.
they had a big what?
You hear me?
Yeah, you kind of cut out for a second. You said they had a big something.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on with my service right now. You got full bars on your end?
Yeah, man. My Wi-Fi's kicking.
Okay, yeah, mine's on too. Who knows? My Wi-Fi sucks. Okay.
Okay.
No, I was saying they so Death Threat played the Rumble a few years ago, and they had a pretty big walkout before their set. So, which is crazy. Yeah, I know. Literally, that's sacrilege. Like you cannot do that. Yes. So we were gonna cover them when we first started the band, but we decided not to because we're like we would be into it, but I can't say that everybody else would be, because the proof is in the cards, like so. I mean, it still backfired though because we covered fucking Biohazard and like same thing. Nobody knew it.
Fuck them. They ain't hardcore.
Yeah.
Tell them to stay the fuck out. Who cares? Go outside and smoke cigarettes and fuck yourself. No.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, for Death Threat is seriously one of my fucking favorite bands. I just seen them for the first time last year. They haven't been to fucking Detroit in forever. I think it was maybe like 2010 or something, and I missed it. It was at like a. Yeah. Did you ever go up to Static Age? You ever been to that place in Romeo, in Michigan? And it was like a coffee shop or something. It was a Static Age.
I think I had back in the day.
Chris Sommerfeld from Tyrant. He owned it. I don't know if you know who that was. Yeah. He owned the place. He fucking put on a bunch of shows there. I think for Trapped Under Ice played there back in the day when they were fucking new. They had lots of good shows, but they came there and for whatever reason, it was too far away and I just fucking want to blow my brains out because I missed it, But I got to see them at the Holiday Jam last year, like we were talking about. I was like, oh my God, I was in heaven, man. Like I love Death Threat so much. And just so happens that I had the worst headache of my life. Like when they started playing, dude, I was up front, like holding my head because the sound was so loud. My head was just fucking pounding. I was like, this is so fucked up. I was like, of course, man. I've been waiting, 50, fucking almost 20 years. And then like I had the worst headache of my life for like a half hour. It sucks, dude. Yeah. But yeah, man. I hope for next time they play, I'm going wherever the fuck it's gonna be. I know they're gonna be in New York. They're doing like a matinee show. I think for New Year's Day. I'm not gonna get to that one, but any other show, I'm going to fucking see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I tried to get him to come that Never Ending Game show that back in September, the one I fucking did. I tried to get them to come, but Aaron was out like Europe and like doing shit. I don't know. I was like, man, fucking Death Threat has to come in fucking Detroit sooner than later.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So anybody got any contacts? Let me know.
Yeah,
But yeah. So playing shows and everything, have you had good reactions with Dayz Lost? I know your boys come out and support and shit, but is there any newer faces who is digging the band?
Yeah, every show we played so far has had a reaction that's kind of blown our expectations. Like it almost caught us off guard. But it's like people are singing along with it too. So it's like, okay, like people are listening to this and they're enjoying it and they're liking it. So it's been fucking awesome. And we just played the other weekend in Oklahoma. And we played an after show. We played pretty late. It was like 1:30 in the morning, but it was pretty packed out and like kids were going off and like, yeah, it definitely made the drive like more than worth it. But yeah, it's been fun. Like it's been a lot of fun.
Good, man. That's fucking great. Especially, like a new band. Like you said, you're not really trying to use the leverage of Purgatory and your connections. So it's cool to do it, organically and start from the ground up and actually getting the reaction that any band would hope for starting out. It's better than being fucking disappointed, because I'm sure it's got a sting
Yeah.
if you're at a show and if no one's moving or singing along, it's like, oh, that fucking sucks. But you still do your thing, obviously. But
Yeah.
you feel good or you
Yeah.
don't.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been there. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, I can never be in a fucking band, and like everyone's standing around with their arms folded. I'm like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah. 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 That's um it was weird because at the last Purgatory show, I almost felt that way for a second because there was times when like it would be to me it looked dead. And I was like, yo, like this is our last show, like what the fuck are y'all doing? But I found out it's because I mean like something like 12 or 15 kids or something got knocked out at that show.
Oh my god, damn.
It was like it was just like ridiculous. I think some kid I think got his jaw broken or something, and like I know a dude got his nose blasted. Like the cameraman on stage, Paul, the drummer from Missing Link. He goes to mosh for one of the songs that we were playing, and like as he's getting off the stage, he swings back, hits the dude that was taking pictures, and knocked the fucking photographer out on stage.
Oh my god.
So so there was times where I was like, okay, kids aren't going off because they're scared right now. I was like, that's sick, but it's also like, damn it, like everybody chill out a little bit so like there can be a little more crowd interaction. Like we played D4M and it was like not super crazy, and that song's always fucking crazy. It's because everybody was kind of like looking around, like gauging the room, and but I mean, it was worth it though. It was sick.
Yeah, hey, man, I've been to one show at the fucking Cobra Lounge. It was MH of Chaos is when they had their album release when like Queensway and Section Hate played and shit. And that was fucking absolutely bonkers. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
he's got to be,
yeah,
he had Sector on that show, right? They played Sector played. Did play your show the last
yeah,
Purgatory show? Yeah. So
yep,
yeah, like the same
yeah,
people. So everyone's going hard as fuck and getting knocked out. So they're like, let's hang back and not get knocked out. I can see,
yeah,
why one too crazy, especially when he got the fucking knockout count like that. It's like, wow. Oh, you froze again.
yeah. It's fucking phone.
There you are. But
Right.
yeah, yeah. I mean, especially all those, uh, you know, uh, Sonny put that fucking video up. And you see people in the comments on the YouTube crying about it's like you're asking people to come up front, but then you kick them. What do you got to say to that fucking pussy? People get mad. They know what they're getting into.
Yeah,
Shut up.
this shit was crazy. It just never ends. I'm not even the band. We're not even a fucking band anymore. And like, dude, since like 2017, it has just been everybody in the world just coming for our neck one way or another. But yeah, it's all good.
It's funny though, because it never ends. Though, like you said, it doesn't matter who you are. If it's a heavy band
No,
and it gets rowdy, then
it's never worked out in anybody's favor. Like, I'll just put it that way.
I love it though, because you see people get upset. It's like, what is your first time on fucking YouTube? Like, what's your deal? Like, it's like all these shows are crazy, but you're gonna sit there and bitch. Like, fucking go bitch somewhere else, or don't go.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I agree.
I find it funny though. Like the people who complain on the internet are just the absolute worst. Like, what do you complain on a YouTube comment for? Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're just tourists.
Yeah.
If you're going to complain about things with hardcore, but you do it on the internet and you never go out and do.
Uh-oh, I lost you again. All right, you came back all of a sudden. That was crazy. All right. Well, I guess that's a topic we shouldn't
I don't.
talk about. Then
I,
it cut
I
us
wonder
off.
if I know my old lady is out in the living room. She's got the fucking TV going, so
Nah, it's all
I'll be
good.
using up the Wi-Fi.
No, that's all good, man. I mean, who gives a fuck? I'll just cut out the weird parts maybe if I find them. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just know if you're getting mad about a hardcore show, don't show up. That's all I gotta say.
Trying to find another spot in the house real quick.
No, you're fine. Yeah. And we can fucking. We're coming up on an hour here now. Anyway, I mean, I covered a lot of this shit, but oh yeah. Let me ask you this: how about you have a pretty good connection with the people in Detroit. How with a Critter and Camden? How did that all come about? Because they're both in awesome bands, Annie Up and D Block. Is it just from shows and shit, or okay,
So
yeah, good enough.
yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, like some people get upset about like crews and whatnot, but I mean, it might be weird to say, but I've always admired such a strong connection of friends. Like you have people all across the planet for the most part, and it's
Sure. Yeah.
you know,
No doubt.
I like it. I don't got no problems with that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
God damn, this motherfucking. I don't know, something happened on my screen. I apologize. But yeah, like I said, we're coming up on an hour now, time wise. But is there anything that you want to put out there and promote? Oh yeah, no, let me ask you this: if I
Yeah.
could put a song on the podcast on the beginning, is there a certain song that you like best? If you didn't mind if I did that, can I put a song up?
Of course. Yeah. Either of the two new ones would be cool.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I like them both. I find them really good. So I just want to
Yeah.
ask your permission, obviously, before I just went and did that.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. That would be awesome. One of the two new ones, because like I love the demo, but the two new ones are quite a step up from the demo. So
Yeah, and also there's a better quality as well. The demo's great, but
it's a demo. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's a lot more clear though. So
Yeah.
I fucking dig it. Do you guys have any? I know you on the website you have like 2 shows that you have coming up. Was there anything else in the future that we have to look forward to? Anything that you haven't announced yet? You want to put out there?
Yeah, seriously, I lost you again.
Oh shit! Here you are.
All right, I get you back.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry, that whole thing cut out. What'd you ask?
Oh, I asked if I know you have a couple shows that are on your website that have announced, but is there anything besides those that you guys haven't announced or anything cool coming up?
No, we just got we got the one on December 1st in Milwaukee, and then December 17th we play the Holiday Jam, in
Okay.
Reading. And then we're working on a couple little things next year already, but like I said earlier, like, he wants to play a show, hit us up. Like, not really like reaching out a whole lot, because if somebody wants us to come and play their area, like, get at us. If there is something, if we're like, oh hey, like we should go try and play like Florida, or we should go try and play Atlanta, or we should try and play New York or something, I'll holler at somebody then and be like, hey, can you get us a show on this date? But other than that, like, we're just chilling, and whatever comes our way comes our way. We're just going to keep writing music and doing our thing, and like see if shit falls into our lap or not. But we're definitely trying to get back up to Detroit. Trying hard to do that again. I hit up some people about Tied Down Fest. We'll see if that happens or not.
Hell yeah. Yeah. If I missed you guys when you came up was with Risk, if you think
Risk.
That's not Monday night shit. I can't do Mondays. It's just fucking literally impossible.
Yeah, I totally get it. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I seen that set's on
know.
YouTube though. It's a good set, a good quality. Whoever filmed it, it's on YouTube. It's fucking really good. So I don't know, man. We can fucking wrap it up though. So I'll put a song on the beginning of this. Is there any shout outs or anything you want to give? Or
Definitely want to, shout out to Midwest and Northwest Indiana. Missing Link, D Block, Street Struck, fucking Sector, Break the Cycle.
hell yeah.
Yeah, Midwest hardcore in general. Like anybody that's fucked with us at this point so far for being a new band, thank you. Like it means a lot. Shout out to people that lift weights.
There you go. Tough guys.
That's a big one. Yeah. Just shout out to my people. Shout out to anybody that fucks with us at this point. Shout out to anybody we got to play with at this point. Like, that's all I can really ask for. It's all I can really say.
Hardcore motherfucker.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, stay there. I'm gonna cut this off. Hold on. Just stay there.